5G 不仅仅是我们移动通信的替代的一个替换的过程，更是我们为社会的数字化转型提供更好的信息基础的一个机会机遇。
5G gives us a lot of opportunities to talk to different customers, to government officials as to how we can actually use this new technology to actually do transformation. Now, to the city, it will be changing to transforming to smart city. To enterprise, it will be digital transformation.
We just did for consumer about the enterprise market. So delighted again, great panel again, thank you so much. If I could start maybe with you, Jiggy, if I could, maybe talk about the difference that you have had in Hangzhou with the enterprise and the business rather than the consumer. It seemed from the way that we were talking about it earlier, or it was being talked about earlier, that there was a great deal of emphasis on the enterprise and business part of the opportunity of 5G.
在我看来啊，5G to B 呢，也是我们中国移动的战略型业务，也是未来第二条增长曲线的这个必然的发展。目前来看呢，我们在5G 方面呢，也在积极的在探索，不仅仅是为了个人客户。我想在杭州大家看到了，比如说新通话，其实我觉得并不是仅仅是 to C 的一个业务，也可能可以 to B。我们在即将举办的杭州亚运会，目前正在着力的打造5G 新通话。来支持我们的观众更好的观赏我们的体育比赛，能够更便捷的观赏这个体育比赛。另外呢，我们在5G to B 方面呢，2018年就创立了这个5G 产业联盟，来吸引各行各业加入到5G 的应用的创新过程中。今年的3月份，我们和国网杭州公司利用这个 Red Cap 技术成功的这个试点，同时我们利用5G 的软切片、硬切片技术。和国网共同来面对，由于现在电力消费的快速的增长，导致的原有的有限的电力的配电系统，对它要求的极高的、精准的、秒级的电网资源的调配方面，矛盾上共同在探索。利用了刚才讲到的5G 的这个硬切片、软切片技术，包括5G 网络无所不在的覆盖能力，为他们的整个电网系统提供了很好的控制的一个能力。在我们杭州目前已经应用的点。已经达到了数百个，真正的为我们的电网的建壮，为城市的产业的发展做出我们的努力。同时呢，我们在5G 方面，即使有一部分的 to B， 其实也是为了更好的 to C。刚才 Dallas 讲的，我们在东南亚可能有部分的孩子还没法接受很好的教育，我们已经探索了，在中小学的课堂里面，我们引入了 AR 和 VR 技术。为他们提供一些自然科学，让他们能够切身地感受到很多自然科，比如天文，比如说我们的这个行星系体系。在我读书的时候，我们只能翻翻纸质的书看看，现在可以通过更多的 AR、VR 的能力，让我们的孩子，让我们的年轻一代能更好地认识自然、认识科学。那么我们在农业方面呢，其实也做了很多的工作。随着中国政府振兴农村政策的这个推行和实施，很多农村也在努力地拥抱整个数字化的改革，包括我们现代化农业，也需要我们有更多的5G 提供连接，为他们的现代化农业、现代化灌溉、现代化的育种、现代化的这个施肥等等来提供服务。这个目前我们在我们的桐庐的峨山，我们已经做了这样应用。同时，我觉得在其他行业，我觉得都有非常好的这个应用。在我们的兄弟城市，在港口、工业制造领域，我们的兄弟城市的化纤的制造，我记得原来非常印象深刻，化纤制造全凭肉眼啊，很难去分辨它的精准度的要求啊。我们通过5G 来赋能，在真正的通过工业视觉检测到化纤生产的质量的控制方面。另外，我参与过杭州汽轮机厂的，有通过3D 建模的方式来评估汽轮机桨片的品控的问题啊。我印象很深，那是可能在19年了。当时产业的工人跟我们讲，我们现在的检测率大概也就是10%。10%什么概念？一个汽轮机它的桨片可能达到上千片，10%可能就是100片都不到。它要拿到专业的检测中心去评估，就只有10%能够进行修正，剩下90%是无法做修正，只能在组装过程中通过工匠来调测。但是我们通过3D 建模的方式，使它在生产的过程中在线的做好生产的品控的管理， 能够实时对生产出的奖片跟我们的设计的要求到底的偏差度有多少，提供在线的一些数据，以便很快的提高他们的这个生产效能，包括在组装整个机器的时候能够更好的提供品控。这个5G 呢，我的个人观点一直是说，5G 不仅仅是我们移动通信的替代的一个替换的过程，更是我们为社会的数字化转型提供更好的信息基础的一个机会机遇。在我们中国有一句谚语啊，叫“要想致富，先修路”。我说5G 我们修的就是信息通信的快速公路，有了5G 公路，会有千行百业的能人志士啊，能够探索在5G 上的应用，为我们整个社会的数字化转型呢贡献更多的力量。我们就是在致力于把路修好，和我们的千行百业的合作伙伴能够探索好5G 在未来数字化转型过程中的更多更为绚丽的应用。这个方面我们一直在路上。好，谢谢。
Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. A very interesting part of the business. If I may ask Steve, welcome.
Thank you for Huawei inviting me coming over. Hong Kong is a very small city, but obviously I think we have been working hard on 5G.
So anyway, thank you. I think the world looks at Hong Kong a lot because it's such an enclosed, a tight, enclosed space. And the network planning, I think, is something that much of the rest of the world looks at very closely to understand how it's planned out. And particularly your ambition to make your city smarter. Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think that's one of the most engaging parts of what's going on with 5G in Hong Kong.
Yeah, I guess 5G actually gives us a lot of opportunity to work with different. I'm actually, responsible for B2B, okay, or 2B. 5G gives us a lot of opportunities to talk to different customers, to government officials as to how we can actually use this new technology to actually do transformation. Now, to the city, it will be changing to transforming to a smart city. To enterprise, it will be a digital transformation. Now, in Hong Kong, just give the audience today a little bit background. We have been started 5G commercial launch in 2019, around 4 years ago. At the very first beginning, we still have the kind of struggle that Darius talked about, how we can actually differentiate from 4G. Now, from a 2B perspective, we see that if we just deliver postpaid service, it's not going to help us a lot because we know the track is people asking for more data, but they're not paying more. Now, from a 2B perspective, we've been starting off to see how we can use solutions to help customers to solve business problems. Now, say, for example, at the very first beginning, we see that narrowband IoT is actually giving opportunities for some IoT participant to actually deliver IoT solution without using LoRa, other less reliable network. Now, at the same time, FWA is actually another very popular solution or services. But when we look at 2B, it's a little bit different. Say, for example, HKT is not just a mobile carrier. We actually have fiber network. We do a lot of system integration for enterprises. We see that 5G network capability help us to deliver SD-WAN service to enterprise. Now, in the past, if I'm a fiber provider, I'm kind of like hesitate to do 5G because it's going to cannibalize my fiber. But we see that 5G connectivity actually help us to complement fiber connectivity by giving up, say, for example, very fast deployment for some of the location and also doing backup service for fiber connectivities. Now, SD-WAN, why so important? Because SD-WAN meaning enterprises are actually transforming their workload to cloud, and they have to have very, very 100% guaranteed connectivity. 5G actually help us in terms of doing backup,
yes.
For fiber service. Now, this is very generic. Not every, enterprise need it. And so that's why we actually turn into industry application as well. We actually put together, think about how we can actually change the world or deliver better service for a particular industry. I just give some example on healthcare. We've been doing a lot in healthcare in Hong Kong. How can I actually use 5G to change healthcare service provision? Now, the problem in Hong Kong, or the situation is, we have aging problem. I think it's not just Hong Kong. Many parts of the world have aging problem. We don't have sufficient doctors. We do not have sufficient experienced doctors. And now, every now and then, we have surgeons actually doing a surgery operation, and they need some consultation from a senior medical doctor. Now, what we are actually doing in the past 3 years, we actually set up 5G network in operation theater, integrating all the videos, endoscopic video. It's not just a camera. Endoscope video, we integrate vital sign information, putting in the device, and then shoot it to an antenna within the operation theater, and we bring all this 4K high fidelity video to a remote senior medical doctor, where he can actually sit in his office or sit at his home to actually give advices to the surgeon in the operation theater.
Yes.
And given all this annotation, he can talk to him, and we actually want to solve that kind of problems. And we said there are good opportunities that application is going to help. Now, the same application can actually deliver education purpose, because that video can actually deliver across to an auditorium in a university, giving university students knowing that what exactly real time the doctor is doing in that operation.
Right.
Now we are changing the world as how we can actually use technology to deliver healthcare service. And these are very exciting. It's not easy. We're still working very hard on it. But definitely, I think 5G can help us to do something we can't do without this new technology.
Thank you, Jake. Steve, just to ask you a question. It's clear to us who are involved in this that to make 5G work in an industrial environment of some sort, it's a team game. You need to have relationships and partnerships with cloud, with security, and so on and so on. How do you find building that ecosystem up, and how do you encourage others into that ecosystem with HKT and bring the developers and others along with you?
I guess ecosystem is very important, because only one company cannot do all the works. But at the same time, enterprise actually want a solution. They do not want just a point element.
Yes.
They want a solution. So what we have been doing is we have some history of doing system integration for enterprises for 2 decades. And around 10 years ago, we started our cloud journey. And we actually firstly built our cloud, but to be honest, we can't compete with those hyperscaler, which twits a little bit. And now we become multi-cloud provider. We actually provide Microsoft, AWS, Google, Ali, Huawei Cloud, etc. Now, that kind of history actually is our DNA of doing solution. At the same time, when we see we need to put together a 5G-related solution, all this cloud, artificial intelligence is part of the total solution.
Yeah.
So it's very, very important that we have that kind of connection with them. And then we have the technology, and also we have the professional service skill to actually put together all the different systems together. And at the same time, I think having infrastructure is not enough. We need to have application. So most of the time, we have to work with application partners, and some of them, they are actually startups in Hong Kong. So that's why we have a pretty good startup community in Hong Kong. So that's why, as a system integrator, we actually invite them, the startup entrepreneur, to come with our ecosystem, and then to do something that they can deliver better than we do. So that's why I think it's important that we actually engage more people and having their expertise on application, on industry, and then we put together as a system integrator. And lastly, very importantly, we actually need to deliver service, ongoing support service. Now, say for example, when we talk to startup, why it's so good for us to work together? Because they want to do innovation. They do not want to do services. And they do not have sales force. Right. But as a telco, we normally have pretty good sales force. We have pretty good infrastructure for doing customer services and also ongoing engineering service. So that's why it's a good mix. So altogether, that kind of ecosystem partnership is win-win-win. We're going to win, customer going to win, the ecosystem partners are going to win as well.
Right. And I think that's very important. That partnership is a very important part of the planning going forward. And before we go out to ask everybody else about what they think are the most important things coming on, maybe if I could ask you just quickly, for the other telcos in this audience who are here, how do you plan for these sectors? How do you strategize to bring the solutions in your 5G portfolio to manufacturing or to smart cities or to transportation or to energy? How do you go about doing that in China Mobile?
相比于香港电信的这位领导来讲，我们身处在杭州，身处在中国移动的员工，我觉得我们非常的幸运啊。因为中国移动在自己的这个体系内有各个面向工业领域的各类的产业研究院，同时杭州也是一个充满创新的一个城市，我们有大量的创新的企业落在杭州。大家可能比较清楚的是有阿里、网易、大华、海康、吉利等等等等，但更多的是我们有无数的初创企业在杭州，他们为整个社会数字化的发展提供了非常多的 idea， 很多的案例，为我们的这个千行百业去赋能。所以说我们在这方面仅仅是我们去寻找商机，同时我们也在获取我们的合作伙伴，获取我们的产业的这个力量，来共同来推进 5G 在 To B 方面的快速的发展。因为在这方面，我觉得对中国移动来讲，或者对杭州移动来讲，我们所处的这个优势，我们一直认为我们还始终在路上的，我们可能做了很多，但是我们也有很多是未知的领域，我们还是要继续探索，继续去寻找我们的所要突破的方向和我们所要面临的这个合作伙伴。
I think that's key. Partners is the key to 5G after the network, I think, very important. Listen, thank you so much for that. Thank you to the panel for that conversation. We'll just finish off this section with a couple of questions and Q&A. Just two. If I could remind you before we bring the microphones out, if you could say who you are and what outlet you are from.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Sean. 我是来自 CA14的记者，然后我想问一下 Steve， 刚刚也是听到您在讲，HKT 在发展这个 5G To B 方面应该也是非常有经验啊。那么您觉得有哪些行业和场景可能比较适合优先的切入啊？怎么样去判断有没有一套这个方法？那么另外可能有一些优秀的案例，怎么样能够在行业间快速的复制啊？那么要满足哪些条件？谢谢。
I think I don't have a crystal ball indeed, but with our 4 years experience, we've been trying to approach every industry about what 5G can do, and then to see what are the maturity of all these customers in terms of using 5G to do just their transformation project. I just mentioned about healthcare. Healthcare is one comparatively successful industry, and at the same time we have construction industry actually using 5G to actually do transformation. Why construction industry? Because they are actually using digital twin to do their daily operation. So that's why connectivity is very important. So that's why in the construction side they need 5G connectivity, straightforward. We actually talk to, say for example, I have an example talking to facility management company. So say, for example, if in construction stage, there is a model that can help you to visualize your physical model, the digital model. Why not you use it for ongoing operation? Now, the problem is that when we talk to them, we talk about using AR, VR, helping you to do all this facility management operation activities. But we see that the kind of maturity in that sector, in Hong Kong in particular, is not so mature. They're not really interested about it. Now, I always see that, in some industry, the kind of, the population there, they are more innovative, they are more accepting to new innovation. We'll tap into that market first. For other less, I would say, advanced industry, I would say that we may need to leave it there and then look into other, industry. Now, I talked about, healthcare, construction, lots of education, institutions they're looking into, 5G. We are actually putting up smart campus for them. Mm-hmm. I think it's okay. Yeah. But I would say that they are all very, very early stage. It's not kind of like, every campus they want 5G, they want A, B, C, D. I don't think we have that kind of situation, so that's why all of us has to work hard on that.
I think that's a very good point, actually. It's still an upward curve, let's put it that way. Time for one more question. Would you mind just saying who you are first and where you're from?
OK， 我是来自中国的记者，来自环球时报环球网的记者。我这个问题呢，想提问给ABI 的分析师Jack Sands 先生。5G 在诞生之初呢，在 To B 应用就被认为是一个重要的应用场景。当 5G 应用已经经过了4年到5年的发展阶段之后，5G To B 未来的发展方向会是什么样子的
Well, it's, you know, I've been sort of painting a picture in my previous conversation about how the factory is evolving and moving from a place where, you know, one person tried to do everything pre-industrial revolution to a person or a piece of equipment have a very specific function. I think we're moving in a space where there's going to be greater agility and capability. And those skill sets will be particularly useful on especially smart manufacturing and logistics, where this is the two strongest. I think that industry, you know, sort of network slicing opportunity, I mentioned about 8 billion. There's also private cellular. Some entities might be wanting really a full lockdown type of deployment, but I think there's still benefits from being connected to a cloud or some sort of on-site compute solution. But I think another area, just to mention, about breaking down barriers, which is what this is all about, is, I think, just having one sort of seamless form of connectivity. We talked about 5G doing a lot of heavy lifting, but I think what is exciting about the innovation cycle within 5G and the GBP is RedCap. So with RedCap, that really produces IoT solutions. Right now, you seem to really have a bit of a hodgepodge, a whole spectrum from even, but as NB-IoT. But, you know, I think RedCap would really make it seamless and make it very versatile. Because right now, you look at a sort of factory space or warehouse, you might have barcodes, you might have sort of RFID tags, you might have cellular tags as well, you might have Bluetooth tags or other types of tags. Then it goes outdoor, and then you put perhaps you know, some sort of cellular tag which can track the truck and so forth. How about we try and make this all very seamless and end-to-end, and again, overcome one of the other sort of bottlenecks. Didn't quite mention that in the discussion. So one is agility and intelligence of the factory floor, but also just making sure you always know where things are, where people are, reduce injuries and so forth, and make sure you never run out of components, especially with this very much just-in-time manufacturing scenario we're very much in. So that, again, be key. So I think that's going to be another hotspot of innovation we see in terms of the implementation of RedCap.
Thank you very much indeed, Jake. I think that's a good place to finish this section. Just join me in thanking the panel for their input this week. Thank you.